Welcome to What Lies Ahead. I'm your host, Chris Raffini, lead singer of the Long Island band Overthrow. On my podcast, I explore everything related to the hardcore scene through the eyes of artists, promoters, and record labels. As always, please like or subscribe on all social media platforms. For more information and updates, check out our Instagram page at @WhatLiesAhead_podcast and find us on Facebook by searching What Lies Ahead. Now, on to the show. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Drew Stone and Tristan DeGraves from New York City hardcore band Incendiary Device. Their new record, New York City, is coming out early spring, and we'll talk about the process behind it, the band's history, and where they're at right now. Guys, what's going on? Thanks for coming on.
What's happening?
What's up, Chris? Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Oh, of course. This is great. And I love having any guest on. Drew, as you know, you have had a lot of guests too on your show, but I really love having guests on when their record's ready to come out. I really like having the opportunity to really dive into the new album, and I appreciate you guys sending me the new album. It kills. Great recording. What New York hardcore should be. It's like right, fast paced, in your face, catchy. Feel like you know the songs even like after the first time you listen to them. So I'm psyched to dive into it. And I appreciate you doing that. So I guess first we'll start here is just a brief kind of history. Obviously, there's Antidote, there's that history with it. A little brief history of the band. I guess Tristan, we'll start with you to talk about what you do in the band, and then we'll move on to Drew from there, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So obviously Drew has a longer tenure in the band Antidote, but I think the past 10 years or so toward the end, I was playing in the band, and out of the ashes of that, as we kind of went into the pandemic, we wanted to continue making music together. And Drew and I have played in a lot of projects together, actually. High and the Mighty, some other, Hit Squad, some other stuff that we've done. And we were just kind of looking to, brand something new. We had a lot of songs written and some other guys we kind of wanted to play with. And we eventually got enough material together where we were like, all right, let's just start fresh, do something exciting and new and different. And that's kind of the genesis of Incendiary Device.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, it was a new page for us. I was in Antidote I joined Antidote in 1984 and it was many, many years and lots of ups and downs. And we really wanted to start fresh and start new, and it was tough because Antidote had a name, had a legacy, and anytime you decide to move past something like that and start new, it's a real challenge and it's a lot of work. But we felt strong about it, and we were excited. The Antidote thing was a little bit of an albatross around our necks towards the end there. Tristan and I did not play on the iconic 7-inch Thou Shalt Not Kill, and yet we were still playing a lot of those songs, and we were really just repeating ourselves. It was just sort of a little bit of a legacy kind of nostalgia act with the same set list for a bunch of years. So we were excited to move forward with a bunch of brand new songs, and we picked up the axe and we swung it and really got busy coming up and working woodshedding new songs, and it's been great.
Yeah and you guys put that record out, it's over 2 years now, your first record on Bridge 9 that had a lot of songs and just good, like I said, fast-paced hardcore. But now you got the new record. And, we're going to dive into all these different things, and we're going to get into set list with you guys and the plan moving forward. And Drew, you were saying before we got on here, it's like you've already started kind of mapping that out in terms of how that set list is going to be with the new stuff. Because like any band, you get new songs, it's like you're super excited about it, right? Like, and I could even feel like when we were emailing and texting back, and like the excitement that you had for this new album, and then you sent it to me, and I could see why. I think people are going to love it. So
it's a great sounding record.
The sound captures it really, really well. You recorded at Foundation Studio, and it really captured what you guys are as a band and the essence of it and the vibe and the feel. So let's talk like a little about when did the idea start? Then we'll get into track by track, Tristan, I guess, to start writing the new record.
Sure.
When did it
So
become time?
yeah, I mean, there's a couple of us in the band that just always have ideas. You know what I mean? Ever since I was a kid, there's always melodies or, certain lyrical ideas that sort of just float around and percolate in my brain. And as those ideas come along, I generally will demo them out just in my house, you know what I mean, with a drum track, and then I'll do the bass guitar and some vocal ideas that usually Drew, reconstructs. Um, and so after the first record, that's it. As soon as ideas started popping in my head, I'd kind of, get them demoed out, send them to the band. Little by little, we'll chip away at them, kick them around. I usually come in with a pretty fully flushed idea from my perspective, but by the time everyone puts their mark on it, it's a totally different piece of music, and lyrically, it can go in a totally different direction. Um, but that was pretty much the process. I was sort of slowly gathering ideas, and when it came time, like, hey, we should do something new. We basically get into the practice room and just really bang through the songs a lot of times, and they all evolve, with everyone's stamp on them. Because my the drummer always takes it a new direction. Drew takes it in a new direction, and so that was pretty much the process. Like when it was time to, like, all right, we need something new here.
Now,
Yeah.
Drew, when you're for vocals, do you, because I'm a singer, so I like to, or screamer, or whatever you want to call it. I'm always intrigued with vocalists too, how that process with stuff. So do you the kind of person where you need to hear the music to come up with a hook, or do you have a hook and then you hear the music that maybe Tristan's coming with and you can incorporate it in there, or you are the guy, you just need that music to do that?
Well, it depends. There's no doubt. Tristan is the primary songwriter for Incendiary Device, and I think at this point we've been together long enough. He really knows what I'm capable of as a singer, and he writes pretty much accordingly. I mean, he's not coming in with something that's super far out and difficult, but he knows what I'm really good at, and so he comes in with his demos are pretty complete, with a lot of the melodies and some of the hooks, and kind of the way that it works between Tristan and I, and there's exceptions to this, and we'll see that as we work through the record track by track, but but pretty much the standard is Tristan writes a song, music and lyrics, and demos it out, and then presents it to the band. Usually the way it works usually is I'm good when Tristan comes in with an idea and he goes, this song is about this, and then I go, okay, I get it, and then what I'll do is I will change a bunch of the words accordingly to how I sing and what works better. Part of the thing about what I said before about Antidote and it being tough and a little bit of an albatross around our necks for me is I was singing stuff that I didn't write and that I normally wouldn't sing that way.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I was singing it because that's the way people remember those songs from 1983 or whatever. And that was difficult for me because I was straining my voice and it wasn't coming natural. The Incendiary Device stuff is a lot more enjoyable. I don't want to say, and I don't know if easier, but I wrote it. It's within my. It's natural for me. This is the way that I recorded it, and it's a bit easier for me. So Tristan usually comes in with something together, and then sometimes I'll rework all the lyrics, part of the lyrics, and a couple times almost nothing because it's just so damn spot on.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it sounds like obviously it starts with you, Tristan, almost quarterbacking everything, right? Which every band has, like, right, when you're speaking and talking to someone. And then there's, like you're saying, like a collaborative process until you get to the songs. So let's get into the record here. And
Sure.
So it looks like the first track is New York City, which is a really good one to open up with. And is a video. You have the video for it, which is really cool. So let's talk New York City in terms of the writing, the style of the song, and then we could get into the vocals and all that kind of stuff. Tristan, go ahead.
All right. Well, the song New York City, actually, the music to it, I wrote a long time ago, to be honest. And I used to play in the Undead with Bobby Steele.
Oh,
And it
okay.
was sort of the original genesis of the idea was like a Misfits feel, like a real, driving sort of dark song. And I had completely different lyrics to it. And I sat on that song for a very long time. And it was like, I don't know if it's right for
I
our era.
apologize. Was it still New York City, or no? It was a
No, it
totally
was a
different.
song called Maniac, if
Okay.
you must know. And so I had totally different like horror lyrics to it and everything. And it was so anyway, it lived in my brain and I had demoed it out a long time ago. At some point though, I was like, the song's really catchy. And I go, I don't want it to go to waste. Incendiary Device is what I do. How do I make this something that our band can use? So I sort of
Right.
changed it up a hair, reworked the melodies, rewrote the lyrics. And when I first brought it to the band, they would, I knew this was going to happen, but they were like, whoa, 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 like this is a little different. And it morphed from that original sort of, almost like horror punk feel into what it became for the record. It just
Got it.
it just took some time for everyone to like, how do we make this sound like us? Because it was definitely a little bit of an outlier. And now when I hear it, I'm just like, oh my, yeah, it's like it's us, But it
Right.
but it
Right.
it was a little startling to everyone at early in its early phase.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't think I changed. I'm looking at as we go. I'm going to look at the lyrics. I don't think I reworked the lyrics to this very much. I think there's a couple of lines, a couple things I moved around. Let me just say also that Tristan sings uh, uh, more on this
Yes.
record than
That
the
cool. Yep.
last one,
Mhm.
and which is great, and I love it. And he sings a part of this song as well, and yeah, I don't think I changed much on this one. The idea was great. We moved a couple things around. A couple things sounded better this way than that way, and I moved a couple things around. But this certainly wasn't a very heavy lift. Hey Tristan, was this the one? Was this the one that we had trouble with for a long time, and like it wasn't clicking, or was it? Or
Yeah.
was it
Oh yeah.
this is it, right?
This is one of them. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And like, Drew had alluded to before, having played with Drew again in probably like at least four projects of sorts. Um, I definitely know, and from talking to him and performing with him so many times, like where his wheelhouse is. Like, I always try to play to his strength. And when I wrote this song, it had some sort of like high kind of singing parts and stuff like. So that was essentially why I was like, I don't know if this song is for us, but we eventually made it work. There's a few parts I sing, and then Drew kind of
Mhm.
figured out where he sits in on it. But the bridge, for example, we completely reworked. The guitar player was
Yeah.
having a hard time coming up with something, so and then I don't even know. I said as a joke, "What about a bass solo?"
No, that was fuck you. That was my idea.
Okay,
I
all right,
said,
but
I said, how about a bass solo?
I wasn't serious, or whether I brought it up or you brought it up, you were like, "No, I'm serious. Like, what about
Yeah,
a bass solo?" And I was like, "Oh, awesome. All right, cool. Let's do
yeah,
it. Let's do it."
yeah.
So yeah,
We we were sort of trying to like we need something different. Let's do something different for Christ's sake, because I feel like with this band sometimes you're running over the same old ground.
Mhm.
And let's do some. What can we do different? How about a bass solo? And Tristan rips this incredible bass solo, instead of a guitar lead at the end of the song, and it's awesome.
It is. It's cool. It really is. So, what
Yeah,
was the idea of this being the video? And then we'll talk the video a little bit of the concept of it, of this song being the video.
it was just sort of a no-brainer for us.
Mhm.
The song's about how New York City is just a bit out of control these days. I think what really caught our
Yeah.
attention was all the violence on the subway and when that poor
Mm.
person was set on fire and all that. And there's
Yeah. Yeah.
samples, there's audio samples from the news in this song, and some of the lyrics. The city we know has crumbled to dust. Who's to blame? No one to trust. faces have changed, places we lost, the price of justice, we suffer the cost. It's a commentary on kind of what a scary, lawless place New York City can be, especially the subway sometimes. So we thought that the video, being that this is going to be the single that drops, when the records, we thought it was kind of a no-brainer, and it's the title track of the record.
Yeah, right. That's the next I would say. It's the title track of the record. I think it works perfectly.
Yeah.
It's somewhat funny though that having this conversation, like this was a song that was an outlier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we record all the songs and then we're like, okay, let's think title. Well, this is cool, that's cool. And then somehow we landed on New York City. And like Drew said, Drew, that was Drew's idea. From the lyrics, listen, as someone who I grew up here, I moved away for a long time. I lived in California, but my roots are here and I've been back for a while. It's when you talk to old New Yorkers, there's like what they kvetch about, like gentrification or, the politics, or I miss the old gritty New York. And then it's like, no, it's too soft. And then the pandemic happened and now it's too violent and, policing. And so it's the lyrics are just really allusions to all those sort of things you hear about when you talk to sort of an old New Yorker about New York. And then, after all was said and done, Drew's like, let's call it New York City.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And that's the cool thing, like what I like about, it's what we're talking about this with the new record. And some people are listening to this song. It's a new song, but there's history to this song, right? From what you were saying and then how it developed into where it is. Let's go to second song, Violent Majority.
Go ahead, Tristan.
All right. Violent Majority, basically the two main sort of riffs in that song were from really old stuff I had written a long time ago when I was living in California, and I just had sat on those riffs. They were from a couple sort of other songs I had written, and I was like, I really like these. I got to put them together with something. And I kind of strung them together. I was like, I think at some point Drew was like, hey, we need like a really just, short. I love the High and the Mighty. Had these little short, just rip it, under a minute, bam, 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 punch you in the face and done. And like Negative Approach, like that kind of thing. So at some point, Drew had remarked, we need just like a real short, just ripper. And I was like, okay, I had those two riffs. I strung those together. And then the lyrics are kind of silly, but one of the things when I bring lyrics to Drew, my lyrics are usually like all the anger from my life, I sort of channel into the lyrics. So sometimes Drew's like, too many songs about like, violence and anger and punching people. So this was kind of like, every now and then you just get so frustrated with everything, like social media, all the bullshit, the news, like all just the crap, right, that we live with. And then I just had this line, like, what the world needs is a punch in the face. Like, we just need to like blow it all up. So from that line and those two basically riffs came Violent Majority. It's not too deep. And there's the famous term silent majority. And then that's where it's just really a play on words like violent majority. And if you watch the news, like all you hear is bad shit. And so that's where the violence kind of part came from. But it's not meant to be a really silly like an angry song. It's sort of just a throwback to those old, quick, fast, punch you in the face.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I feel like it's just an incredible burst of angst. It's like the song Violent Majority is like a primal scream, and it lasts like a minute. It's just like that, and like that's it. It's just like the scene in Network, the movie where I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it anymore, and everyone throws their window up and screams it out in the street. It's just like a primal scream of that's and once again lyrically, I don't think I'd change barely anything in this one. Tristan brought this thing is like a shotgun blast to the face. I might have changed one or two things because it might have just to fit my cadence, but Tristan had this is a Tristan one 100%.
Straight up to your face, in your face.
Yeah.
All right. The next song, If the Time Is Right.
Well, Time is Right, Ready to Fight's been around a long time. I recorded it first when I was in the High and the Mighty. It's on the High and the Mighty Crunch On demo tape that was recorded in 1984. It was re-recorded again on the Antidote record that we did, No Peace in Our Time, which we did for Bridge 9 Records in, I think, 2010 maybe. We did a re-recording of it, and then it's a song that has always been, as far as I remember, it's always been in our set list. We've always played it, me and Tristan. When we were in Antidote, we played it. When we do High and the Mighty reunions, we play it. And it's a fan favorite. And I'm not exactly sure. For some reason, when we were at the recording sessions for this record, we decided to re-record it again for Incendiary Device and sort of keep the legacy moving along. But if the time is right, ready, fight. It's like it's interesting. I wrote it when I was a teenage skinhead, and and that's what Tristan was talking about those High and the Mighty songs that were just like. And I don't think I can ever write something like that again. So there you go. I mean, that's that one, and I think part of the way it's laid out is that song is really the prelude to the song that comes after it.
Young at Heart.
Yeah,
and if I may add this, so when I was living in California, Antidote came out to California. Before I knew any of the guys or anything, I saw them play, and like I knew all the Antidote material. And as a fan at that show, they played Time Is Right, and I was like, wow, this song freaking rips! Like, where is this from? You know what? And it was on the new record, but I wasn't as familiar with the new record they had put out. So at every show I've done with Drew in the bands, Antidote, High and the Mighty, we always play it. I love the song. It's one of those just fast rippers. So as a point of just personal pride, I am now happy to be on a version of it that exists and will appear on wax.
You know, we've realized, Tristan and I and couple and Zum, who produced the record, is there's certain recordings as we go through life that you decipher and you realize there's certain things that are wrong with it. Like if you were a trained musician or really knew what you were doing, you wouldn't write it like that. It wouldn't sound like that. Right? We come across this constantly, and the Time Is Right is like that, and that's the charm of it. Is that it has quirks and there's things that are wrong with it, and that's what makes it special and unique.
Well, yeah, it's cool that it's back on here, and I love third tracks on albums for some reason. There's something about them. It sets the tone. It's a good, but like you said, this leads right into the next one, Young at Heart, and you have a guest guitar with Bobby Hamill on there, right? So let's talk Young at Heart.
So Young at Heart, again, it was like it just started with one riff and then kind of worked in all the parts from there. Fell into place like musically pretty easily. And with the band, when I brought it to the band, it was one that we picked up pretty quickly right away. Like, oh, this is one of our songs. It came together pretty easily. We did add some parts that weren't on the original demo for sure. There's like that breakdown part in it. And lyrically, it was about, it's hard because, I think Drew and I are the oldest guys in the band, and you get to a certain age, it's hard to be young and cool and angry. And, it's hard to present that way. But at the end of the day, for me, the fountain of youth is always like when you remember the first like hardcore or punk record you ever heard and that feeling it gave you inside. And it's sort of like for us, we've all been through a journey. We're battle scarred. We've been beat up hard, and we've had so many shows, so many experiences over the course of our lives. But at the end of the day, inside, you get up there, you're still that little kid who discovers punk rock and hardcore. So it's really about keeping that youthful, spirit, despite the earthly corpse that you walk around in every day is aged. You know what I
I
mean?
love it.
So
I love it. It's
it's
a great.
really a song for all generations, whether you're a new kid who's just discovering the music or you're an older guy who's loved this stuff your whole life. It's about never losing that youthful spirit and just
Mhm.
remembering, why you got into this, what you love about it. And even for those folks who strayed away, you know what I mean? It's always here for you to come back to. The songs live on.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I think this is really from the first time I ever heard it when Tristan brought in the demo, whatever. I love this song. I think it's great. I think it's our most important song. I feel like, we played for years. A lot of times we end our set with Sham 69, If the Kids Are United. And I really feel like this, in a lot of ways, is our If the Kids Are United. This is
Mhm.
our anthem about staying young and doing what you love and having that in your heart. And I love this song. I love singing. This song reminds me, is a little AC/DC to it, it's a little cock spar,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And I feel like this is
I
probably
do
the
hear
most,
that. You're right. That is true about the Cox Bar. That is
yeah,
there's a little of that in there. Yeah, it's
yeah, it's the most important song that we've come up with. And lyrically, I changed a bunch of things. I rewrote a verse and moved a couple things around, but this is probably a good example of a typical collaboration between Tristan and I lyrically, at least. And I reworked some, I rewrote some stuff, and then, we asked our good friend from Biohazard, Bobby Hamble, to come in and play
yeah,
lead
Bob.
on it. And me and Bobby are very close. We've been friends for a very long time, and he effortlessly, uh,
Mhm.
Effortlessly. It's a hard one.
effortlessly,
Yeah.
yeah, um, you know, uh, put it down, and that's what we wanted. We wanted, we didn't want like uh, what's the word, Tristan? We wanted something with some soul. We didn't want a whiz kid. We didn't want, a million notes. We wanted something with feeling. We wanted
Something that
Bobby.
roar. Yeah, something melodic that roars. We wanted Bobby Hamble.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Sounds
It
great.
and it
It does.
and musically, it's very hard to get away from the way the riff is set up to get away from like double stop guitar playing. So anyone who ever like I usually will put solos on the demos too. And it was like everyone was sort of falling into that style, which I was like, we need something melodic, roaring. And then thankfully Bobby was on board. Like, you know what? Let's just throw something wild out there. And he was willing
Yeah.
to do it. So we're excited to have him, be a part of the project. He's always been a big supporter
Yeah. And
of
that's it.
Drew and our band.
Yeah. Biohazard, I have a long history with those guys. I
Mhm.
produced their videos in the early
Yeah.
90s, and I tour managed for them, and I traveled the world with them, and they put me on early on. So I have a deep, deep connection with the Biohazard guys. So that song is, like I said, we feel is very important to us, and we hope that it resonates with people. That is going to be the second single, by the way.
Okay.
The
Okay.
first single is going to be is it's actually one. We'll get to the first single. Actually, New York City is the second single because we've already
Second.
released one, and
Thrown to
then
the wolves, right? Yeah.
Thrown to the Wolves, right? And then Young at Heart is going to be the third. And I think Tristan was really keen on this, is sequencing it properly for vinyl, and he was a big proponent of the first side ending with Young at Heart, and
Mhm.
that's how we did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just the way you guys are talking about the song in my head was going to be like, this is going to be a single at some point in time, right? It just,
Yeah.
yeah. And it is, right? It's going to come out after. So this is it's
Yeah.
a really good song. It is.
Thank you.
So aggression.
Yeah.
Aggression. Again, I always love a song that just starts with like a really good hook, whether it's a bass riff or a guitar riff. Probably my favorite like punk hardcore song of all time is Nervous Breakdown. Like the way
Mm.
it just comes in with that guitar, you immediately know. So I was kind of fishing around for a song of that ilk that just has a guitar hook right out of the gate. And then rocks out. Then there, of course, there's a bass breakdown back to Drew's, the incendiary device formula. But it kind of has all those classic things. The guitar riff intro. It's lyrically the vocals are call response. So it's actually me and Drew, just because it's so many words to get out. So we kind of split that up. And content wise, again, it goes back to, given how crazy and stressful life can be, everybody needs a positive, healthy release. I'm an avid skateboarder. So the song really, if you listen to the first verse, it's really about the feeling you get of that energy release, that aggression release, skateboarding, getting out there, getting pounded on the pavement a couple times, So for me, my mental health, I need that. I know a lot of old guys who skate with me, like that's our release. The second verse more alludes to the guys who go to shows, you know what I mean? Who are still going out there, getting in the pit or standing against the back wall, but remembering getting in the pit. So it's really about everyone feels that aggression sometimes, and you got to get it out some way. And it's really, that's basically what the song is about, like skateboarding, music, and how some of us guys still use that as a mechanism to sort of release that tension, release that energy.
Yeah. You need it for sure.
Yeah. And like Tristan said, Tristan sings as much as this song that I do. It's about 50-50. It's a call and response. It's just another blaster. It's just another incendiary device blaster. And I don't think I didn't rework anything. This is all Tristan's vision. This one.
Yeah. Thankfully, because I edit a lot of like skate movies and clips and stuff, and so I'm always using other people's music too. So I was like, you know what? I got to write something that is like you could skate to, and aesthetically, visually, So it's sort of I don't know. There's really no such thing as skate punk, but it has more of that feel to it. Like the rhythmically, it's like something that jives with like skateboarding energy. I remember I brought the lyrics to Drew. I was like, he's gonna change these for sure. But thankfully, I got my one skate punk song in on the record.
That's cool.
And it's thinly veiled. It doesn't mention skating, so it's all out of double entendre.
And I think we're going to work our way to the point where I just sort of tapped out with violent majority, aggression, this one. And I finally, like on the last record, I couldn't. I said, you know what? No, I wrote something in a totally different direction on the last record called what was it? Just What It's Worth.
Just What It's Worth. Yeah.
Which is just about enough hate and violence. So I hit that point on this record. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, not yet. This one was good.
Well, yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. Reprisal.
No, is it Reprisal? Is Reprisal?
I have here.
Is it Reprisal or is it?
Yeah, I think it's Reprisal.
Yeah, Thrown to the Wolves Politics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. I apologize. So Reprisal was something very different for us. When Tristan brought in, it was very different. It did not feel like it. It was way different than anything we've done. Tristan?
Yeah. So for this one, this was one that I had, so again, demoed out really for myself. Like if I have ideas in my head, if I don't get them down, they'll just stir in my brain. I won't be able to sleep. So this was one the main riff came to me, the melodies on the other parts sort of were in my head. And I was like, I just got to demo this out. I was a little reluctant at first to bring it to the band. And I basically received the reaction I thought I would. It was not very flushed out. More than the other ones, I had the music flushed out, but not really the arrangement or the lyrics. It originally had some completely different idea. And we just got to the point like, all right, here's another one, guys, And I kind of described like, I want the drums like this and the guitar does this. And so I had this was probably the loosest one of the visions as we went in to sort of woodshed all these songs. And I remember everyone's first reaction was like, what? It took a long time for it to sort of coalesce into something where everyone's like, okay, it might work. And I would say, I don't even think it was until we recorded it
No,
where
I
everyone was
think
fully sold.
it came together a little bit. I think when I came in with the when I had the
When you had lyrics to it. Yeah.
when I had
I don't think I had any lyrics to this one at
yeah
all. I
yeah
had some very rough ideas and I had the melodies. Like I could just make anything up and sort of sing a melody. So Drew knew the melody, but I
yeah
had no lyrical ideas. This was, as I said, the least flushed out of the songs
right.
and took a lot of work. We're certainly happy where it landed. It might be a surprise. People, you don't know. People are either going to love it and like, wow, very cool, or be mystified. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you record it, and one of the joys of recording is we've learned this is that some of the ones that you're going to feel are front runners end up falling to the back of the pack, and some of the ones that you just think are just ugh, this thing ends up like New York City was like that, and it's the lead off track of the record. And
Right, right.
this is another one. It just really just came together. I wrote the lyrics. Reprisal. Hey, listen, you write about what you know, right? And for me, reprisal sort of, where's accountability in this world? Say what you want, say it what you. It's really about the internet and social media and how people hide behind, fake profiles or whatever,
Oh, yeah, okay.
and you know what an ugly thing it is, and how people think they can get away with no repercussions whatsoever. And
Right.
so reprisal is basically saying like, let's say tomorrow nobody could hide behind the illusion of a fake profile name or anything. Everybody who's no more fake bullshit, and
Uh-huh.
there would be repercussions. There would be reprisal. There would be
Yeah.
reprisals. Also, the background vocals on this, I think that our friend Creature from Rebelmatic
Hmm.
and Will Romeo, for the guitar player, in ID, they really brought something special together in the chorus and the bridge with the vocals. What do we call those? The druid vocals.
Druid.
The
Yeah.
druid vocals. It's very sort of monk chant. It's very it's pretty cool. It's a very
A-
different song for us.
ambiance.
Yeah, it's very cool. So it's a very different kind of track for us. I love it. It's different. It's great. I love it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, the next is throw. People have heard this. Thrown to the wolves. It's been out. You can stream it and everything. Came out. Correct me if I'm wrong. It came out in May of last year.
We were
Am I
just
right?
talking about that.
Yeah, it came out in May of last year as your
Yeah,
first single.
yeah,
So
yeah. It
was
was.
this was that I wanted to ask, was this recorded at the same time you recorded all the other songs?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So
It happens. It does. Some things take longer than you want, right? Like so. Yeah.
there's an ID process that takes forever. So
Uh,
we woodshed the songs, we demo the songs, we record the songs, we fix things, and then by the time it's mixed, master, it just takes forever. So
Forever.
yes, all the songs were recorded together quite some time ago, um, and we were heading out to punk rock bowling. So I think that was really the impetus. Like, we had been sitting on that other record at that point for, I don't know, a year and a half. And we're like, we just need something, we got to put something new out. And I
Yeah.
think that song just, of all of them, we felt the strongest about at that time. It didn't need any changes. It had been mixed. And I think it was the first song that was properly mixed. So
By plan, or it just happened to be that it was done
I
and that
think it
was
just happened to be because of the dynamics of the song. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got that breakdown part in it. It starts slow, it gets fast. So I think that's why Dan Corneff, who
Mhm.
mixed the record, chose that. It was like a good litmus test because it had a little bit of everything.
I think if I remember correctly, he did a quick mix on it very early on to just, hey, what do you, and we were like, it's great. And then we realized, hey, let's just make a few changes and get it out there. and which was really worked in our favor. We dropped it as a single a long time ago, and then which happens with a lot of time in situations like this, we sort of went to the back of the line. We went to the back of the Dan Kornoff and Neil Zum Osberg line after that, and it was just, you know, the holidays and this and her and the kid, the baby, and it just, you know. But we managed to get this one together pretty quick. This is another prime example. I think lyrically, Tristan brought it in. It was something. It was called something else. I don't remember what. And then I reworked it with the subject matter. You know, a lot of times I'll talk to Tristan, say, "What is this about?" And I ended up reworking a bunch of the lyrics. I'm looking at them now. A bunch, not everything, but a bunch.
Yeah, on the when the title of the song comes in, it's like thrown to the wolves. Like that has a very staccato feel, and I was like, whatever we say there, it's got to be strong. You know what I mean? And I had a whole bunch of ideas that I said to Drew, and he settled on "Thrown to the Wolves," which obviously worked out great because it needed to be sort of in that staccato cadence. And you know, so once we figured that out, then it was reworking. I sort of gave him the idea of what I thought the song should be about. And then he reworked a lot of the original lyrics I had.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It looks like I wrote all the verses, you know, and the breakdown. With every crown comes a guillotine. That's me.
Yeah.
I think what we kept was some form. You ought to know it's all bullshit.
Yes.
We changed that a little bit, but no, it looks like I reworked probably 75% of this, but Tristan came in with a strong idea and strong melody, and that really helps, you know. And the subject matter, I'm going to keep it kind of vague.
I'm going to speak to it. I can speak to it, I think, or you
please,
can.
No, you better. You go. You go ahead.
So this one's kind of about, I guess, being disenfranchised when you meet your heroes to some extent. I'll say that's like sometimes, you know, you have a vision of who they are, and when you get tangled with them, they don't always turn out to be who you think they are. So occasionally you get thrown to the wolves. You know, you go into something with high hopes, and you know, when the shit hits the fan, you realize, oh, maybe this person isn't exactly who I thought they were. Is that you want to elaborate more?
Yeah, no, I elaborate with the breakdown lyrics. With every crown comes a guillotine, so be careful what you wish for. They care not a thing about you. They will tear you limb from limb. So, you know, in other words, you think you're wearing the crown. Anybody who, you know, with every crown, and I guess that I was watching some about the French Revolution or something. That's where I got that line from. With every crown comes a guillotine. You know, if they're gonna put the crown on your head, the guillotine is not too far behind. So be careful what you wish for. You want that crown, you put it on your head. The guillotine might not be too far behind, and they don't care anything about you. They'll rip you apart. So that's sort of the gist of it. Now, it was written in particular about certain people in a certain situation, but it doesn't make any sense to get into that right here. We'll leave that.
Like, wait a second. I think the hardest part about this song was deciding whether Drew should say guillotine or guillotine. And I'm like, it's guillotine. And he's like, but I'm from New York. I say guillotine. I'm like,
yeah, fucking guillotine. What are you talking about?
It's a guillotine, Drew, but guillotine didn't sound as good. So we went with guillotine.
But, you know, this is a song, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tristan, but we worked this up, and I think we started playing this live right away. It clicked. This song just, you know, sometimes, I mean, there's a couple of songs, and I guess we're going to get to that we haven't played live yet. We've recorded them, and we haven't played them since. But this is a song that as soon as we learned it, it was in the set list before we even recorded it. So this one really came together and was incorporated into the collective.
Yeah, cool. No, it's a really good one. It's still new, even though it came out. Because what my band did was the same thing. It took, you're talking about things, and we put out a single, and then the album didn't even come out till about a year later.
There you go. That's
so right. Yeah. So it happens.
In the same boat. Yeah.
Yeah. It's same boat. Like you literally, it was like sounded like what we were going through. Last song, Politics.
Okay. So, Politics is another one that came from a song I had written years ago. And again, it was like a bass line a lot of times doing sound check. It just covers a lot of the fretboard. So if I'm sort of sound checking, I would play that bass line a lot, sound checking. I was like, man, this is something I shouldn't let go of. We gotta, I gotta turn it into something that's gonna eventually make it to a record or whatever. So starting with that bass line that drives the song. It's more of like an oi song, you know what I mean? It's not it's melodic, nothing crazy going on with the guitar. So the real strength of this song is going to be the lyrics and the delivery of the lyrics, the subject matter. And I had an original idea for it that I was pushing for, that I had written certain lyrics, and then I gave it to Drew, and he as occasionally happens, but not often, he just said, no, we're going to do something totally different. Okay, got to be a diplomat, got to compromise. So he took the song structure I had and then just completely revamped the lyrics.
Yeah, I think that was my breaking point on this record, like the last record. Like aggression, punch in the face, this one, that one. It's like no. I'm not fucking singing another song about,
It wasn't a violent theme at all. It was a nice theme. But we went in another direction. We don't have to discuss what the theme was, but
I don't remember. I actually don't. Maybe I'm wrong. But I ended up writing the lyrics from the ground up. And at the time, it was just a real reaction. I just hate politics. I really do. I hate how it divides people. It's a sad commentary. How in this world we live in now, it's like people won't speak to each other because they support this guy or that guy, and I just see people carrying on the internet, and it makes me want to puke. I can't stand it. I really, really hate politics and how it divides people, and that was the gist of it. I just wrote it from the ground up, and and then we were thinking, let's reach out to Eugene, our friend Eugene Hutz from Go Go Bordello.
Hey, these guest vocals.
Yeah, who's a big supporter of Incendiary Device. I mean, we've played with them, and to his credit, Eugene Hutz is an interesting character. And he came up kind of in the punk and hardcore scene. He inherently loves hardcore and does a lot to support real like mid-level bands. And he's done a lot to support us, and he's put us on some shows, even though Incendiary Device is a little bit of a weird fit with Go Go Bordello. We've played a couple shows with them, big shows, and you know what? Eugene checks for us. And it's interesting how there's a lot of bands, a lot of bigger bands in the hardcore scene that couldn't even fart in the same room as us, couldn't even be bothered. But a guy like Eugene Hutz checks for us hard. So a big ups to Eugene Hutz. And I just thought, Eugene is a bit of a, sort of in the same vein. I just thought of him regarding this song, and he came in typical Eugene fashion, like the whirling dervish that he is, and came to the recording studio where we're doing the basic tracks, and just came in and just did his Eugene thing. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's good song. And we went through the whole album, which was awesome to hear track by track with it. And it's cool too. You guys, I like the story for each song. Also like how you guys described, why really you did within the song, of why the songs were tracked where they were in terms of the order. What I do want to ask is why Politics at the ending? Was there a reason why you wanted that song to end the album?
You probably have a take on it too, Drew. So I mean, a longer answer. I listen to vinyl a lot. I have a huge vinyl collection, so I'm always concerned with like when you flip the record, right? You want whatever side goes on, whatever side of the platter you lay down, you want that first song to bang. So that's always a consideration. So I kind of start from there, like what's going to lead off side A, what's going to lead off side B. Side A you want to be strong, and from my perspective, we had a hard time, I would say, kind of figuring out the order on this, because you do have Reprisals, very different. Seemingly New York City was a little different. Politics is very different. So it was a little hard to slot things into a certain place. And I feel like, from my recollection, Politics was a little bit of an outlier. It's got a guest vocalist. Where do you seat it? Do we end the record with an anthemic song or a, so Drew, what's do you remember how it really got there? I sort of know how everything else got where it sits.
I do think it ended up just getting there by sort of playing Tetris, and it ended up there by a bit of default. We knew we wanted us to come out with to a fault, right? I'm always like, let's come out of the gate and just crush, like blast, and I'm criticized for that. Like if we come out, we just go, and
we played all the good shit. What's left?
We put all the we
played all the good shit already.
If you see us, we top load and that goes from the Antidote days. Like you come out, to me, first impressions everything. You come out and you blow their head. You blow them away, and then you sort of you try to hold on after that. And that's kind of the way I always kind of looked at it. I just think it's just the way that it laid out. It just kind of kept getting kind of pushed down the line a little bit. It's a mid-tempo song, and it's only 8 songs, and no great. It's certainly not because we thought it was the most like anemic song or anything like that. It just kind of ended that way.
Yeah, cool.
If you make it that far, you get to hear it.
Yeah. Great way to end off. Question before, because I want to get into the set list now for you guys. We have a lot more options now, obviously, with you have a lot of songs on the first record, but you have a lot more, with these new songs now. But any songs that you guys recorded that didn't make it?
That's interesting.
Yeah. There was. You want me to speak to it? Who you?
Well, why don't I go one way with it and you go the other way with it? Okay,
you got it.
We recorded some cover songs
Cool.
that not at this session, but beforehand at down in Philly with what was the recording studio that we recorded? Do you remember? Creep, who's putting the record out. We recorded 2 songs. We recorded a song for a Cure compilation that's coming out called Grinding Halt. We did that song, and we did Dead Kennedy's song Nazi Punks Fuck Off. We recorded those 2 songs, but when the rubber hit the road, we really wanted the album to be a statement of originality, and we didn't really feel like the cover songs will drip them out here or there. Hopefully the Cure thing does come out and it'll be a part of that. The Dead Kennedys thing, we'll put it on a comp or something. So we want the ID records really to be all original material. That's something we feel very strongly about it. As far as any other songs go, Tristan?
Oh, we had flushed out a few other songs, but it took a lot more effort to get those songs kind of where we wanted them. So we really just honed in on these 8. We're like, these are the ones that are polished. They're ready to go. And it just felt right to do these 8. So we had a couple other that we were messing with. We did drums and bass and some guitars on, but just didn't feel as complete. I'm a little more, let's go for it. And it is what it is. Throw it out there. I think Drew's generally a little more conservative, more of a perfectionist when it comes to that, wants to make sure it's, and so those were just not quite there. We'll see. Maybe we'll revisit them. Maybe not. We're already moving on to new ones.
Let me say also that we went through a lineup change between the first record and the second record. And we really wanted Will Romeo, who plays guitar with us now, to really feel like this record he had a big connection with, and that this was his record. So some of the other songs were we felt were a little bit older and were sort of dragging in a bit of the past. Whereas we felt these 8 songs will really put a clear stamp on it. And it was really important to us that Will really felt like a member and a part of it. That's really important
Yeah,
to
yeah.
us as bandmates and as friends. And that was really important. I think for me, that's a big reason why those other two songs or three songs, we sort of we 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 let them go. We just it's you let them go and they just fade off into the rear view mirror. And we just wanted Will to really this be Will's record, and so that was a big part of it too.
Cool. Yeah. So moving forward now, your the set list, which you said, Drew, like we were talking before, you've been thinking about. You guys are playing out a lot. You got by the time this comes out, you're going to have shows that you've played. Have you? So you have been thinking about it. Now you have the first record. So my question is, I'm going to have a few different questions, and you guys can expand on there. Your favorite songs to play live that you guys have, and you can go back to the first record. Songs you wish you played more live, and that's going to happen now because you're going to have a new record. There's some things have to unfortunately go. Songs, and you said this before, Drew. Songs you've never played before live. So I'm throwing a three-pronged question to you, and I'll throw another one in here. Do you guys look at streams? Like you're playing Jersey, and at this time it comes out, it's like, oh wow, Punisher's really playing in New Jersey. People are really streaming it over there. And so you have to play it there. I don't know if that happens, but so a lot of questions. So just talk a little bit about your set lists and structures.
Tristan,
starting with favorite song to play live.
Yeah, you do favorite song to play live, songs you wish you played more, you never played, or you've never played either, too. So.
I'll go first, I guess. Songs I like playing live. I think one of the songs that was a bit of a sleeper on the first record was we were sort of iffy about it. It was Breaking Point. And people really gravitated to that song because it's got a sort of slow, menacing intro, and then it sort of jumps into a heavier part. And a lot of times that's a song the crowd knows the lyrics to. So when I did this scream Breaking Point, and when you see people sort of gearing up for that part of the song, it's also a good song to take a sort of break because it's slow. It's not as fast and note heavy. So whenever I see that coming in the set, it's fun because it's a mix of, we got the slow sort of sludgy part and then the part where it jumps off. So that's definitely one of my favorites to play live.
Cool.
Yeah.
Drew, what's yours?
I'm just looking at the stuff. The stuff that I sort of lost, the stuff that I lose my zest for, we drop off the set. I think it's important to note that we're not yet. Hopefully, we will be someday, right? But we don't headline all the time. So we're not playing in Europe. We don't play an hour. So do you know what I mean? We're not being paid to play venues for an hour or whatever it is. That bands like Agnostic Front or Biohazard or Sick of It All or a headline. So most of the time we're called upon to play 30 minutes. Our sweet spot, we like 35 minutes. 40 minutes is can do. We could tell a couple jokes in between and go 40 minutes. So for us, usually it's a 35-minute set. So time is of essence. So at this point, we've created a set list that at first we used to call it the Ramones set list because we just do one song into the other. We do 3 songs stop, 3 songs stop, 3 songs stop, 3 songs stop, say goodnight, last song. And we just bang it the fuck out and to fit in as much as we can and just bang it out. So part of it is we're not playing that long. And I enjoy it. I like playing 35 minutes. I'm good.
Yeah.
To me, the Ramones played I think 20 minutes in their heyday when they were in 1977. Nobody said, oh, they only played 20 minutes. Nobody says, I wish Incendiary played more. We just basically pummel them into submission in 35 minutes. So, since that's the case, uh, everything that's in there is super high powered. I love living in the past. I love nobody owes you anything. Negative attitude. Thrown to the wolves is okay with me. The song Incendiary Device, which is like our thief song, is okay. I love Divided State. I love Think for Yourself. Time is Right is classic. I think we're kind of tethered to it. Violent Majority is okay. Breaking Point, I love. Punisher, I love, and Accelerate, I love. But those are the songs that now that we have other songs that have to be moved in, like New York
Yeah.
City. We've been playing New York City. We can't play Punisher or maybe Accelerate. And then once the record comes out, we're probably going to have to do Reprisal or Aggression. So some things are going to have to get dropped.
And that's the thing, right? You guys plan on playing everything off this new record at some
We'll
point in
see.
time.
Yeah. But I mean, from again, we haven't even discussed this, so
Yeah,
you're
we
getting
haven't.
fresh perspectives. I'm down to try anything, you know what I mean? But even from the first record, there are songs I loved that, the response is just kind of meh, you know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
we'll see, I guess. We'll probably integrate them slowly, see what
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, and
Also,
Drew, Drew, you said this before, and it really is true with the live set. It's songs you think sometimes, and sometimes they hit well with people in the crowd, but it's a
mhm.
song sometimes you don't know. So it's almost like you have to test the songs out and see
Yeah.
what like that reaction is. Sorry, Drew, go ahead.
No, 100%. And like Tristan said about Breaking Point, that has caught sort of the wind with our fan base, and people love that song. We would never have kind of thought that, but when we play it live, everybody's hanging on it, and it's great, and that's become a fan favorite, and that's not something we're going to drop anytime soon. I mentioned before that for the past couple years, more so than not, we close our set with Sham 69 if the kids are united. Our hope is that Young at Heart, our song, will become our if the kids are united. So that we're not playing a cover song anymore. Now we're closing with
Right.
with our song. Also, we've toyed with the idea for years, and when we were an Antidote, and it carried over into Incendiary Device. Our music, when we come out on stage too, is Bruce Lee, the theme from
Enter
Enter
the
the
Dragon.
Dragon, and it's that opening Lalo Schifrin opening kind of Bruce Lee music from Enter the Dragon. That's great, and people know us for it now. But we've been toying with the idea of coming out to our new intro music would be the song Incendiary Device. So the
Ah,
song Incendiary Device, it's gonna jump off tonight. Incendiary. That's what the crowd will see as we come onto the stage to play. So now we can take that out of the set. That gets taken out of the set and
yeah,
frees up room for a different new
the
song.
songs.
So there's a couple of these cards that we have up our sleeve, and we're just trying to figure out what's the smart way to go with it.
Right, right. And you'll figure it out as you guys play.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So next question, Drew, but I wanted to ask you, be remiss to ask, like obviously, like with everyone knows you from your show and then the Bowery Electric shows, just how that's going, just to kind of capitalize. Because I said when we signed on, I'm like, I know that background very well from your
Yeah.
show. So story, like tell me how the show's going and all that kind of stuff.
Before that, can I mention real quick just
Of
the
course.
production of the record? Who
Yeah, yeah, of
produced
course.
it? And I don't know if we're getting to that or is now a good time for that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it's very, very important to mention the production team that was involved in the making of Incendiary Device, New York City. It's the same production team that was involved with our self-titled record that came out on Bridge 9 Records. And basically, Tristan, you want to explain who produced what, how it lays out, who produced and mixed the thing?
Yeah, sure. So both records were recorded at Found Foundation in Brooklyn. Brian DeMeglio is the engineer. So we love the room, awesome vibe, great guy, really knows how to capture our sound from an engineering perspective. Neil Zom Osterberg, he is the guy, he's a unbelievable talent, number one as a bass player, but also a guy who just knows sound. You know what I mean? He knows guitar amps, he knows bass sounds. He was one of the guys who developed the Sans Amp bass driver, the pedal, one of the most used pedals for bass players. So he's great when it comes to like we're trying to get certain guitar tones or how to make the bass sound better. So he's kind of involved every step of the way as we're recording. He does a lot of that work in helping us get the sound we get. And I think I'll just say one of the things that has separated us from a lot of bands like at our level is sonically the records sound fantastic. So that's a big part of Neil's influence and Brian capturing the sounds. And then as far as mixing goes, we have Dan Korneff who does the mixing, and he mixes monstrous records. Devil Wears Prada. I think I forget that some. Oh God, I can't think off the top of my head.
Devil Wears Prada, Breaking Benjamin, Papa Roach, Lamb of God, so on and so forth. I mean, the guy's been nominated for Grammy, multiple gold records, and the connection is between Zum or Neil. Zum's a nickname from when we were kids, but Zum and Dan have a lot going on in the audio and the equipment world. Zum, like Tristan said, created the Sans Amp bass driver. He's also a part owner of Fryette and Sound City Amplification, and he's worked with Dan in the recording studio regarding regarding new plugins that they're developing. So these two guys are deep in sort of the recording studio culture, and which is something that
we are not.
Which we are not. And I learned a long time ago that the less time I spend in the studio, the recording studio, the better. It's not. I don't thrive in it. It's not great. Call me in when it's my time. We've learned to make this work, because I mentioned this the other day on my show about being a vocalist for many years. You basically sit in the recording studio, usually for 10 hours, and then the last hour you got to rush into your vocal parts. And so it took a while to sort of figure all that whole thing out. And now we work a certain way that I'm very comfortable with and I like. And I'll do a scratch vocal, I'll go in and make fixes, I'll sit on it for a week, I'll go in and I think I can do better. And because we're recording in Brooklyn at Found Foundation, I have the latitude to do that. And that's what works best for me personally. But getting the sounds in Found Foundation was key. And then Zum and Dan Korneff, with their incredible attention to detail, consider, and these guys, I mean, Zum hears stuff, right? I mean, I'm just like, what is he talking about? And he'll find something and track it down, and me and Tristan are like, yeah, sounds great. And he'll be like, no, there's something going on in there.
There's a sizzle. There's a sizzle. I think it's 350 hertz at this.
Yeah, there's a weird dB thing going on.
Yeah, 239 in this track, and we're like, wow, who cares? I don't even hear that, but all right.
And there's no doubt that the reason that this new record and the last record sound certainly the way they do and as great as they do is because of Neil Zum Osberg and Dan Korneff. 100%. Those guys really make magic happen in the mix. They really do. And let me just say, Zum played with me in Antidote for many years. So he was in Antidote. He played bass in Antidote for years and years and years. So he knows the band. He knows what we're about. He knows the ethos, and he can steer Dan, who's the genius of the thing, to where it needs to go. So I just wanted to acknowledge that those guys.
You're right. And it's important to do that, especially if the record came out great, but it's important because you work with these guys so closely for so long, as you said, it's important, and those little things that they hear and notice that you were like, yeah, like, what are you talking about? And it makes a difference, that you wouldn't even look for, right?
100%. And as far as my show goes, the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. I've done what's my next show? I think my next show is episode number 411 is this Sunday.
Awesome.
With Jennifer Finch from L7. Yeah. And I'm very, very, very fortunate that I've had the success with the show. All these years later, 5 years later, it was started during the pandemic, and people just love the show, and I love doing it, and people support me in the show, and it's been a great platform, not just for Incendiary Device, but for the community and culture of New York hardcore and hardcore in general. And the show's gotten easier to do because PR people and labels come to me now asking if their artists would like to come on the show. And it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And it's just really great. And as I've gotten a bit older and my film career is what's the proper word? I don't want to say waned, but let's just say this new opportunity to do something I love so much has been really great. I don't have to smash my head against the wall about being a filmmaker and raising money to make films and do this and do that and go through the torture. When truth be told, I could do my show 5 times a month in my underwear from my apartment. So right. It's just great. I'm really, really fortunate. I love everybody that just supports it, and thank you all so much on that. So yeah,
you can hear in the inflection in your voice from the excitement that you have from it, and you could tell on every episode how much you're enjoying it. You love it, and that's the thing with it, and we appreciate you. So keep doing it. It's fun for everyone.
And the Bowery Electric shows are another thing.
That's what it was the next thing I wanted to talk about. So
it's all part of the swirling mass that we do here. Myself and our old pal Larry Kelly from Boston do the Back to the New York Hardcore Roots series. It started out at A7, known as Niagara now. Then we moved it to the Bowery Electric. We're moving it back to A7. We've done shows in Berlin. We're doing shows. We've done shows in Tompkins Square Park. They're free. They're all ages. Although we've just recently decided that we want the shows to be 16 and plus, because we realize that really little children should not be at these shows. Not little kids. There's too much of it's too dangerous. And so we're sort of opting. It's not worth going to war over that. We have to have all kids. I almost don't need the headache. It's because a lot of the problems we've had is with not little kids, but the parents of little kids. So it's that problem. That problem has come up a bunch of times. Not the little kids, but the parents of the little kids. So 16 and plus for the most part. And it's been great. It's just a part of this thing that we do. Yeah.
Is it 2 shows a month, 3 shows a month, give or take? I mean, some more than others, I feel, but like an average doing that, right?
Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. Depends on what's going on, who's coming to town, what dates are open. I think to date, let me look. We've done the next one is the 75th show we've done. Let me look.
That's a lot.
It is the next show is the 71st.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great.
Congrats. That's great, right?
Yeah.
So
and then with the ID record coming out, we're gonna head out there and play some shows as well.
Cool. That's awesome. It seems they have a great, obviously, relationship with the venue too. So that's pretty awesome. So I have a question here, and then after this one, I'll have a bunch of questions, and then you do your first thing that comes to mind kind of thing. Obviously, you want to elaborate. But before we do that, where do you two see the band in 5 years? What lies ahead, right?
Word about tomorrow. Listen, the goal is just to, keep playing shows. We love getting on the stage. We're trying to just reach out to as many people as possible. We're passionate about what we do. We're passionate about the music we make. We love our friends who make music that we get to play with. So I think we're just hoping to continue playing. We'd love to get over to Europe. We do a lot of puddle jumps. We'll go to Seattle, we'll go to Portland, we'll go to Southern California, we'll go to Northern California, the tri-state area. So that's kind of been the rhythm, but I think ultimately it's just getting out there more, getting music out to more people. Hopefully down the line recording some more. Right now we probably need a little break from that, but we'll see. It's hard. There's so many bands, and the world's changed so much from back in the day when you had a label and different mechanisms for getting out there, and see what happens, I guess.
I think I have 5 years left in me. I do. I'm the oldest guy in the band, and we have the band isn't just a bunch of how do you say it, guys my age or older guys. I'm the oldest. Tristan's in the decade under me. Will's in the decade under him, and our drummer Mike's in his early 30s. So we're not a band composed of a bunch of original first wave American hardcore guys. I'm really the only one. So the band has an interesting dichotomy to it, as far as there's some youthful vigor to it. There's some old school charm to it. There's that. I think that's part of what makes this band great and unique, is different guys bring different things to the party, and that's what makes the whole in this band. And we are good friends, and we do enjoy we do enjoy our company. Tristan and I have been in many bands, and I think this is the first band I've ever been in where we actually really enjoy. There's not that guy that one guy in the band that like shows up right before we play and leaves right after, and we never hear from him. And we all really enjoy spending time together and doing what we do. So I get a lot of joy in the fact that this is really the most fulfilling musical venture that I've ever done. We play great shows live. We make great records. We love hanging out with each other. It's really great, and I can appreciate it for what it is. This kind of thing doesn't come along for a musician all the time. Tristan can attest to that. We've been in a lot of bands, so just really appreciate what we have. But I do also want to say, just from what I've learned in doing my show and everything else, that it's interesting. Bands. A lot of the bands out there, a lot of the hardcore bands, the older hardcore bands, are legacy. They're legacy bands. They have the Agnostic Fronts, the Sick of It Alls, the Murphy's Law, and they have that legacy to fall back on, and that catalog to tour on. People will come out to see that stuff, and the older hardcore crowd is quote unquote aging out. They are getting older, and they're aging out of this thing, and they're not particularly in most instances being replaced by younger people. The younger people are down with their younger bands. God bless them. Haywire, or a lot of the Turnstile. Not the Turnstile's a new band. Haywire's not that new, but the young kids, and I understand. I was a young kid. Young kids want to be around their peers. They want to support their peers. So we're a band, a little bit of an older band, that really doesn't have a legacy that we're touring on to fall back on. So we're really in the trenches swinging the axe, and there's not a lot of bands certainly of guys my age, of a guy my age that has started something new and made a run at it. There's a couple of bands, but it's a unique situation. I feel like we're really making our way through it, and we're really grateful for what we have. People that love the band, and we do our thing. We do our thing, and we work hard, and we have a lot of joy in doing it.
Yeah, and that's the thing I see with the both of you, is the fun that you're having with it, and which will lead to everything that we're talking about here.
There you go.
So got a bunch of questions. First thing comes to mind, obviously, a lot of here. So, Tristan, I'll start with you. Favorite show you've played?
Oh,
Going to the
wow.
Rolodex of that one.
Favorite show I've played. Wow. That's tough. I guess
In this band or just in general?
You know what? To make it easier, we'll talk incendiary device. Yeah.
uh, there's been a lot of great ones. A lot of great ones at the Bowery Electric, some really good sweaty ones. I mean, probably the low-hanging fruit, punk rock bowling was great. I'm a huge fan of Stalag 13. We got to play with them. We got to play with 7 Seconds. We got to play with Negative Approach.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
just the whole deal. You know, we're out there VIP, we're hanging out with everyone. And this band travels well. You know, usually I've been in a lot of touring bands, and that's when you find out, everyone's idiosyncrasies that drive you crazy. But our band really travels well. So when we travel, we have fun. We go to San Francisco, we pound the pavement, we go sightseeing together, we eat
That's
breakfast
fun.
together, so we enjoy each other's company. And I would just say punk rock bowling the whole weekend, seeing so many friends, meeting new friends, going to the museum, and the show itself was fantastic. We had a great crowd, we got a great reception, and to share the stage with peers who I've looked up to, since I was a kid, was an honor.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Drew?
Before you narrowed it down to Incendiary Device, I was going to say Antidote playing the Hyperfest in Belgium. When we went over to Europe, we played Hyperfest. It was like a dream come true. The place was packed and everyone went nuts. But that was Antidote. As far as ID goes, Punk Rock Bowling was incredible. San Francisco, we just played Crash Fest. That was incredible. But our home is in New York City, and the Bowery Electric has been our home. We played there many, many, many times. We headline the place, we pack the place. Everybody sings along all the words with us. That is like our home, and there's something really special when we play there and with all our people and family and friends and everyone singing along, and it is our moment.
Cool.
It's our room. So there's been a couple of those kind of shows there, and so yeah, I'd say ID at the Bowery Electric. Pick
Cool.
pick
Cool
whichever one.
spot.
They're all pretty great.
Yeah. It's a cool spot for sure. All right. Favorite place, Tristan? Favorite place to play outside of New York?
Oof. San Francisco's been good to us for sure. I would say. I've not in Incendiary Device done a lot of shows in Southern California where I used to live. So I mean, it's like a homecoming for me whenever we've gone there. But probably San Fran. I'd say Boston's been really good to us. It's hard to say. We went to Cumberland, Maryland, and had great shows. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think for us, any place where there's also an element of we can do something fun in addition to that. But reception wise, I would say, San Fran's been really good to us.
Yeah, I
So,
agree with you. I agree with Tristan all down the
San
line
Francisco.
with that. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So I don't know why I use this number, but I do. It's just fun. So just so you could think, top 3 go-to albums for you. We'll start with Tristan.
From other bands.
Yeah, from other bands.
Oh wow. Whew. My favorite 7-inch of all time is Black Flag, Nervous Breakdown. I'm gonna stick to punk because I could get into the Grateful Dead or other shit, but I'll keep it to this type of music. Definitely Nervous Breakdown. That 7-inch. Big fan of that Stalag 13 because I mentioned them before. In Control. That's a really great album. And man, you can pick anything Misfits, Suicidal Tendencies, self-titled,
Great. Yeah.
Agent Orange, Living in Darkness. All right, I'll stop. But
Yeah.
too many.
No, all good stuff. Drew.
Keeping it on I guess the punk hardcore tip, I would just a no-brainer for me to just go with the 3 that really changed my life. First would be
Let me guess them.
Go ahead, guess. You guess them.
Bad Brains, first record.
The Roar
First
cassette.
tape. Yeah. Minor Threat. Anything Minor Threat? No.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay,
Black
minor.
Flag.
Yeah, no, but I wasn't thinking that. But go on.
Black Flag Damaged.
That's right. And
Maybe Negative Approach.
no.
No.
SSD
Well, yeah.
Control, Get It Away. These
I
three
should have
records,
known that.
these
Yeah.
three records changed my life. When the
Yeah.
Bad Brains cassette came out, you understand that I was in it when it came out. So the Bad Brains cassette
Yeah.
came out in '81. We were astonished by it. We put it in, we would just turn it over and over and over for 1 month. It was all we listened to. We would just turn, the cassette would end, we turn it over, we turn it over. 1 straight month, it's all we listened to. It was astonishing to us. Black Flag Damaged, when that came out, just I think people have sort of lost because of the way Black Flag has ended up in it. But when Black Flag Damage came out, it was the top of the mountain. It was crushing. It was the point of the spear. It was incredible. Chuck Dukowski, Henry Rollins, that record. And then personally, because I was part of the Boston crew at the time, and I was thanked on the first record, The Kids Will Have Their Say, but the second record, Get It Away, I was just a part of that. Those were my guys. I lived it, the whole bit. The Kids Will Have Their Say really is one that just speaks to me. And then, of course, Minor Threat's a no-brainer for me. I mean, Minor Threat, the complete catalog. I saw Minor Threat play many times. They were incredible, and I love that band to this day.
Yeah, all classics there. Okay, Tristan, a band or artist you like that may surprise people?
Grateful Dead, probably. Yeah. Yeah.
You answered that 2 questions ago. Yeah.
There goes all of our fans. But yeah, it's a strange thing Drew and I have in common. Most like punk hardcore people you meet, that's like an immediate, I hate them. But that's definitely not that I listen to them regularly, but I was a huge fan back in the day. So,
Cool.
Yeah, Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead. Drew?
Well, I listen to them regularly, and I love the Grateful Dead. But that's no secret. I talk about that.
Yeah.
I rode the rails with the Grateful Dead before, as a very young teenager, before I got into the hardcore thing. So I kind of came from that direction. But I'm a bit of a music archaeologist. Just doing the show I've done, I'm a documentary filmmaker. Music is my life. So I've done films and documentaries about all kinds of music. So one of the things lately a band that's really had a big effect on me, and it's all part of this greater family, is a band called Hot Tuna, which is Jorma Kaukonen, who's a ragtime blues guitar player, and it's all part of that. Hot Tuna came from Jefferson Airplane, San Francisco, Grateful Dead, a lot of that kind of stuff. But my roots, I go deep with a lot of blues and a lot of Americana. I really, that's something I go very deep with and I'm very knowledgeable of. So, basically that kind of stuff. I feel though, doing people ask me, hey, what are you listening to? You know what I'm listening to? Whoever's on my show next. And right now I'm listening to L7 because Jen is on my show on Sunday. And I don't have a lot of time to casually listen to anybody's music. I have to kind of go with I have another show every few days, or I have to do my homework for something. So I don't get a chance to listen to. And then when I'm driving, I don't like to listen to loud, aggressive music when I'm driving here in New York City. It rattles me. So I that's when I listen to Pink Floyd, the Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers Band. A lot of the old 70. I like a lot of the old 70s stuff. It calms me down. That kind of stuff. And
cool.
I'm nostalgic. I'm nostalgic in that regard.
That's awesome. Okay, so I like asking this question because we were talking about all these bands and all this stuff and going back in time and all the bands. But sometimes people don't remember this. So I'll start, Tristan, with you. What did you listen to last? And not elevator music, like you walked through CVS and whatever was on in there. Like, what was the last thing you were listening to in terms of
Actively, okay. I was driving
Yeah.
home from Queens today, and I put on a Slapshot "Step on It."
Ah, good. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm looking on my Spotify to see what.
Damn.
Yeah, I was like, you pulled on Spotify, Drew?
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I'm actually reading I think it's Tony Retman, the Straight Edge book.
Yeah.
So I'm reading that, and then whenever I read a lot, like usually musical
Uh,
stuff, and whenever I'm reading it, then it inspires me. Like, I got to do a deep dive on that album. So that was
cool.
why the
Why you had
Slapshot
it.
today. Yeah, yeah.
No,
Drew,
I
I
got
thought you would say L7 after the last one, but
Yeah, true. What do you
well, I'm looking basically looking at what I've listened to. I'm L7 because Jen's coming
right.
on. The show before that was I was listening to Benediction and Bolt Thrower because what's his name? David, the singer for that band, was on, and before that, I was doing my homework listening to Walls of Jericho because Candace was on the show.
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
before that, I had Harley on the show, Harley Flanagan,
Yeah,
and
that's a good interview.
I was doing some of that, and then Peter and the Test Tube Babies before that because I had Peter on the show. So
Mhm.
I mean, and then in between there's deep dives. I'm doing this Clash. There's do a Clash tribute thing here at the Bowery Electric. Some heavy hitters have a band. It's a benefit for the Joe Strummer Foundation. They're asking me to do a Clash song. I'm doing a Safe European Home. So I'm listening to that, and that brought me down a Clash rabbit hole. A couple weeks ago, they asked me to do a Rolling Stones song for a similar thing. I did the
Oh,
song Neighbors off Tattoo You, and I ended up going down some deep Rolling Stones, rabbit hole, listening to these records that I never really, Undercover. I never really, listened to that record too much, and so it's one of the joys of being a career musician and filmmaker and show of a host of a show like this. Yeah,
mhm.
I'm fortunate. Music's my life.
Yeah. Let's- So, like I said, there's no rhyme or reason for the order of where I go with these. So, what do you feel, Tristan, an underrated band today? And it doesn't have to be a brand new one, but one that's been out for a little while that you feel is underrated. Maybe just didn't get its due. Maybe they're not playing a lot. Maybe they're not a band that's completely active. So just wondering a band that you feel is a little underrated today.
Oh yeah, yeah. Can I go? I feel like I'm beating this drum to death, but I would say again, Stalag 13. I know I've said their name like 10
Okay.
times, but I feel like that record is awesome. And like East Coast people just don't know that band that well. It's not a new band by any stretch of the imagination. But I feel like they don't get a lot of love on the East Coast.
Yeah, that makes sense because I didn't really, they were never really on my radar screen. With Tristan, what's interesting is he has a lot of West Coast music sensibilities. And once we started playing together, he's really akin to a lot of bands that I didn't really, I don't really know that well. Peripherally, I know who Stalag 13 and Aggression and a lot of those California bands. I never listened to them. But now that, you know, me and Tristan have been friends for a long time, those bands have certainly come, and we played with some of those bands. They've come across my radar screen. For me, I feel like a lot of bands, for the most part, get their just desserts.
Mhm.
As far as as far as bands that are around right now, one band that I think is really great, and they get love, but you think that they deserve is a band called Rebelmatic. I think
Mhm.
Rebelmatic's really great. They put on a live show. They got great songs. They're a very special band. They're pretty unique. But I think a lot of the younger I've seen some younger bands coming up like Life of Deceit and Chemical X and Deadshot. I see these
That
bands
shot's the best. Good guy. Good. Yeah.
these bands are putting in the work
Yep.
and they're starting to do well. Chemical X is going out and doing like a 2 month tour. And so I'm happy to see bands because what we do at the Bowery Electric, we try to give these young bands, we try to get them on and put them out there. We try to do mixed bills. So it really makes me happy to see when a band that we gave one of their first shows ever to is out there and they're really they're doing in the work and
Yep.
they're getting popular. that kind
Mhm.
of thing. I think there's been bands that maybe didn't get didn't break through, but I start to feel I really feel knowing what I know is you put in the work, you do what's needed to be, you do what is needed to happen. And if you have good music and good songs and a great work ethic, you will make your way through it. I do
Yeah.
believe that to a certain extent. Listen, ID is a great band. We're a great band. Do we have the ability to do what Chemical X is doing and get in a van and go tour for 60 straight days?
Mhm.
No, we don't. So that sort of changes the possibilities and our ability to reach out. Me and Tristan, we kind of came to the conclusion a while ago, like if we were in our 20s doing this, things would be probably a little bit different. But we're doing it. We're doing it inherently because of our love for it.
Right.
At this point, it's not a money making venture. It's not. It's not a we're getting laid venture or we're getting lots of drugs and alcohol venture. We do it because we really love it. It brings us joy and it brings joy to people.
Yeah. Yeah. You could, like I said, see it with you guys doing that. All right, two more here. So Tristan, song you wrote that you're most proud of.
Ooh,
Wow.
man. Um, Song I wrote that I'm most proud of. Whew, that's a tough one.
Mhm.
Uh, I'll give you one that strikes a personal chord. So on the first record, there was a song called Nobody Owes You. It originally had a different, more violent theme, and Drew immediately steered me away from that. And so I thought about my own children. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? If I could send a message to my own kids, it's that nobody owes you anything. You got to be tough. You got to be, you know what I mean? So that song just has that personal connection, I guess, because I think of I work with children too for a living. So it's like, where I think a lot of society, it's just like, participation trophy kind of society. And you got to be tough. You got to work hard. You know what I mean? You get knocked down, you get back up. So,
Right.
not that I think it's the best, musical or lyrical song, but that song just holds a special place in my heart because of the why behind it.
Right. Okay. Drew.
uh, they're all like your kids, right? I feel connected. I feel connected to a lot of them. I could probably pick anyone, but for some reason my mind's going to the song "Incendiary Device" because the song "Incendiary Device" is a song we had when we were in Antidote NYHC. We had that song. It was part of we were playing it, and when it came time to make the break and turn the page and start something new, Tristan and I were trying to figure out what we're doing, where we're going, what it's going to be called. And I said, "How about Incendiary Device?" We have the song. It's sort of a statement, and we sort of put the saddle on that horse, and we both got on and rode it. So I'm really proud of like what we did with that song. It went from sort of, hey, a new Antidote song to let's take this, let's ride it, and let's give it a ride and let's see where it leads us. So they're very proud of that one.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Drew, I'm gonna stick with you in here because I had a question and you gave me a cool adjustment for you here. CBGBs or A7?
What was it originally? What were you going to ask
It
me?
was Wetlands and Coney Island High, which maybe Tristan, I'll have you do that one. Yeah. So
Right. Well, and I said to you, I didn't go to Coney Island High that much. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Wetlands is okay. I didn't. I didn't play. I don't think I played. Oh, I think Antidote might have played Wetlands. But that was sort of later on. Those venues were a part of what I was doing, but part of what I was a filmmaker really, and when I was managing
Right.
bands. But yes, A7 CBGBs. Um, I mean, if it was do or die, and it had to be one of the had to go with one or the other, I'd say A7. A7 to me, it is the birthplace of New York hardcore.
Yeah.
I did play there many times as a teenager when I was in the High and the Mighty, and to us as teenagers, playing the A7 was like playing Madison Square Garden. It was a very special place. for me personally. I know CBGB's has a history and this and that and da 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 da, but A7 was a place that really meant a lot to me personally and my band, The High and the Mighty. And not only that, but Incendiary Device is playing A7 next month. We're bringing the Back to the New York Hardcore Roots shows back to A7, which is called Niagara now. We call it the Magic Room. So there, the timeline is still there. The circle's not broken; it's unbroken, and we're going back in there to play. So that place really resonates and is special to me personally.
That's awesome, Tristan.
I'm going to have to reframe the question for you. I think you got to ask me whiskey or the Troubadour.
So I swear I was going to go California with that. Yeah, I did want to ask you that. Yeah, we're two clubs. I've been to those places. They're awesome.
I left New York when I was young. So like I went to CB's, I went to Wetlands, but like the Coney Island High era, I wasn't really here and I was too young for the A7. Like, you know, when it was really A7.
But it's funny. I was thinking that with the whiskey and Troubadour. So yeah, and I've been there before, but I want to hear what you think of those two. Go ahead.
So I've played both rooms. Both have such a different. You know, you play the whiskey and it's like I think of the Doors. You know what I mean? Like wow, Jim Morrison stood on. I played the Troubadour. You think of Elton John, Bruce Springsteen, Guns N' Roses. You know what I mean? So if I had to pick one of those, probably the whiskey, I guess. Why not? It's right on the Strip.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. It really
but
is.
But both like, you know, again, rooms with huge history. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. This was such an awesome conversation. Psyched to talk the new album. Psyched this will be coming out right before the album drops, so people get to hear a little bit about it before it comes out. Anything you guys want to end with? And I know I jumped 5 years ahead of the future, but where do you see the, because the spring, the album's coming out, where do you see your summer plans leading out? Like you probably got some stuff hopefully planned, and anything you want to end with?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just start with, first of all, thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure. Really enjoyed it. And I just would want to thank, we've been very lucky in that we've had a really good group of supporters along the way. I know Drew mentioned Larry Kelly and Zum and Dan Corniff and Ray Hogan and Steve Messina, and the Women of the Pit. There's so many people who've championed us and who help us to make this happen. So I want to thank them. We do have a bunch of shows coming up. I know we got a show. Drew, you probably know the list better off the top of your head than I do. Shows in New York, shows in Philly. But keep charging forward. I'm excited for the record to come out. I mean, we recorded these songs a minute ago, a while ago. So I just want the damn thing in my hand, and I hope when people hear it, they like it. You know what I mean? There's always a reservation. I think we're really proud of it, and you just hope that the same people who follow you and like your first record, at minimum, love it as much, if not, something captures them and resonates even more. So I think that's the hope, is that people are happy with the journey. You know what I mean?
Yep. Drew?
Well, Chris, I want to thank you for asking the smart questions and doing your homework, man. I know what goes into these kind of shows, and I've been on some shows and been a little disappointed that, the host really didn't do much homework and is sort of just winging it, and it's obvious. You really did your homework and you asked the smart questions, and that means a lot to me and Tristan and the rest of the band. So thank you. Like Tristan said, we got a lot of great people behind us, and I want to shout out, our women that are behind us. Tristan has Kristen. I have my wife Rochelle. Will has his wife, and Mike has Nicole, and we have some great family behind us, and they're a big part of supporting us and getting us to do what we do. But
Drew, are you saying that because she's literally behind you?
Pretty much. No, but I felt like it was.
You didn't thank me.
Super important, though. You're right.
Yeah.
You are.
No, he's 100% right. It is not easy being like a partner to someone in a band. So
it isn't.
Mercy. We love our
we're
girls.
Not kids, man. We're not in our 20s. We have significant others, and And, you know, we count on them being understanding to sort of what we're doing in our 50s here or whatever. So there's that part of it. But listen, it's I feel good about the record. We're putting in good work. You know, good things are going to come out of it. We have a bunch of shows lined up. Once the record's out, we're going to be doing a bunch more shows. Demons Run Amok is putting it out in Europe. Creep Records is putting it out here in the States. Our hope is that we're going to make it over to Europe and start playing a couple shows. Our hope is that we're going to get out of a little bit more out of New York City and play more shows. So that's it. We do feel confident that the record's great and it's going to resonate with people. And we believe that we're putting in good work and good. All we can do is go with what we've gone with, and that's we've worked hard from the beginning. We've crafted great songs, and it just keeps inching forward. The word gets out there. The fan base grows. We give respect. We earn respect, and we make our way. We're making our way. Are we going to change the world as we know it? Probably not. But we're going to change our world as we know it. So there you go.
It's a great way to end it. And look, the record kills, and I always feel like this. The music will lead the way with it for this record. So. Yep. But thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, hang tight here. I'm just going to sign us off, and then we'll chat up when we get off. Okay. Thank you for listening to the What Lies Ahead podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms. Go save the What Lies Ahead podcast playlist on Spotify that features all bands that were on the show. For more information on future episodes, you can go to my Instagram account and follow at What Lies Ahead _podcast and on Facebook by searching What Lies Ahead podcast. See you on the next episode.